Okay, so now we can continue with our next part, which will be the front little part with these two little eyeballs. So first I would like to do the little dots on the little eyeball here and on that side, and for that we need to use a ball and cup tool again. So I'm going to use my small ball and cup tool, and then we're going to work from the back of our pewter on our felt material. And I'm going to use 4 layers of felt material now because I need a little bit of a cushion for this hide area to lie. And I'm going to do all of them in one go. So ball and cup tool, using the ball part, I'm going to press down and again working in a circular motion. And this is going to be a soft to a medium pressure on the pewter. And then I can do the other side as well. And then I need to turn my pewter face up again on my hard surface so that I can flatten the area around my little dots. So using the cup part of my tool, working on my hard surface, center it over the raised area and press down. That will create a nice solid edge around your raised dot. So I can do all of them. And then I need to just flatten the pewter around that area that I worked on. Just want to make sure that I've got a nice flat pewter to start before I do the next step. Okay, so before I do the next step, I have these little dots here again, which is the same as the ones that we did here. So we need to do them now, and we're going to do them from the front on the liner. So working from the front on my liner and using my 0.5 metal ball tool, I'm just going to press down on each one of those dots. This is a medium to soft pressure. Okay, now I'm not going to flatten because I would like to keep this little bit of a height that I've already got here. So I'm going to move on to the next little dot that I want, and it is going to be these two little eyes. For them, I'm not going to use a ball and cup tool because they're more of an oval shape, and I want them not to be as rounded at the top. They need to be a bit more flat. So from the front of my pewter, working on my lino, I'm going to draw in the outline of both, and then we're going to have to flatten the surrounding area. So I removed the liner sheet, put my pewter on my hard surface, and now we can flatten around that little eye. And I don't want this to be too high, so I'm just going to raise it a little bit, and I'm not going to put extra height from the back. So now I am tidying up the edges with the Teflon tool. I'm still working from the front of my pewter on my hard surface. And remember that we're not flattening this ridge here. I would like to keep that height. And then I'm going to define with my metal ball tool. So that's just a little bit pushed up, which is more than enough. Okay, so now we have these lines here, and I'm not going to raise them. What I want to do with these lines is I would like to give them a little bit of a texture. Just want to flatten this one because there's a bit of a height there, so I'm using my paper stump. So before I add the texture, I want the pewter to be nice and flat. And then I'm going to use my metal ball tool, and I'm going to draw on my hard surface. I'm going to draw in that line, and I'm using a hard pressure because I'm working on the hard surface. So I'm just drawing in the lines. And then we're going to scratch the area in between. So that it gets a little bit of a different texture than the rest of the eye. So using my same 0.5mm metal ball tool, I'm just going to use, it's like coloring in, just straight lines. And then we're going to come over this again at a different angle. So I'm scratching the pewter so that when we do the patina work, this is going to be a little bit darker than the rest of the area. Always make sure that your pewter is nice and flat. So now I'm scratching again in the same area but at a different angle so that I have like a crisscross pattern going over it. And I do this in all four shapes. Okay, so that is that texture done. So now we can lift up the face and then we can shape our little eyeballs from the back. So I'm going to put my pewter still face up back onto my liner sheet, and using the metal ball tool we're going to draw the outlines. Again, I'm turning my pewter so that I can draw towards me as much as possible. And then we can flatten. So I'm putting my pewter face up on my hard surface, and using my paper stump I'm going to flatten towards my raised area. And then tidy up, and I always tidy up a little bit further down my design, because every time you work you modify the edges of the other design areas that is already finished. Okay, so now I can define, and then I need to add some height from the back. So we will turn our pewter face down on our felt layers. I'm using 4 layers of felt. I've got my pewter laying face down. So we're going to work from the back of our pewter. And again, I'm going to first use my hands and I want to mold out the shapes of the eye. Then I can take a rounded tip paper tool and I'm just going to color it in a little bit. So you can do this a little bit at a time. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to see if my height is enough, and if it's not, we can come back. So do a little bit of pressure at a time, because you can always come back and add some more height, but you cannot remove the height if it's too much. So let's see what it looks like from the front. So from the front, I almost have the height that I want. So before I go back, I'm going to flatten. I'm working again on my hard surface from the front of my pewter, and I'm flattening with my paper stump towards my design. So I still want this to be a little bit higher. So we're going to do another round of height from the back. Okay, so I would like to have this little ridge here a little bit lower. So I'm going to use my paper stump from the front and just ever so slightly color in over this area so that it creates a little bit of a ridge. There we go. And then we can add some height from the back again. So working on my layers of felt, I'm going to add some height from the back. Again, I'm going to start by using my hands, and then I'm going to use the paper stump. So now we can go back to the front of our pewter, and then we need to flatten around our area. So I think I'm almost there. So we'll flatten some of the area here. So I'm pretty happy. I need this area to go up a little bit higher because this one is higher than this. So I need to flatten one more, or raise one more time from the back. So one more time. I need this side to be the same height as this one. So just a little bit of pressure on this line here. Should do it, and then back onto the front of my pewter to see if I've got it basically the same now, and then we need to flatten again. There we go. So that's the next part of our design done. So once we filled this with beeswax, we can mold this shape of the head a little bit more before the beeswax has set. And we can pop out the eye a little bit and add some lines for better definition.